Well, hello everyone. It's good to be here with you today. It's a beautiful day. I want to thank Dave Copez and everybody else that's here and inform me that this is the place you need to be. That's what they said to me, and I agree. I'm here with my lovely wife, Shelley. Shelley, will you stand up, please, and just wave to people? That's the lady who's making it all possible. Thank you, Shelley. I had to ask her if I could run for Attorney General, and I got her permission. Okay, so most of you know me. I ran for Attorney General 4 years ago. I ran against Maura Healey, and I ran hard, and I came in second. And I apologize to you for that because you had to be subjected to 4 more years of Maura Healey, the would-be governor. You know she's running for governor?
Yes.
Okay. She's running for governor. She's a terrible Attorney General. She's going to make an even worse governor. But you already know that. Do you know that during Maura Healey's reign at the Attorney General's office, 10,000 criminal convictions were overturned because of corruption in the Attorney General's office under her watch? She had 2 lieutenants, and those 2 lieutenants were criticized in a court decision, saying that they had lost their moral compass, that they had committed fraud upon the court and made gross misrepresentations. In other words, they're liars. As a result of that, those 10,000, actually someone says it's up to, because of the collateral effect, it's up to 30,000. Because of the drug scandal in the state drug labs, 30,000 people have actually had their convictions overturned. When I say 10,000, those are the ones that are actually in jail, the others that already completed their sentences. So I asked you, what happened to those 2 lieutenants? Ann Kasmerick and Chris Foster. What happened to those 2 ladies working in that office? They're lawyers. If they just had a decision from a court that said that they had committed fraud upon the court, you would think that those 2 people would be in jail. You think that happened? Not in Maura Healey's Attorney General's office. Nope. They did not go to jail. You would think that they would be disbarred, that they would no longer be able to practice law in Massachusetts. Did that happen? Nope. At least not yet. So you would think that they would at least be fired. Were they fired? No. Ladies and gentlemen, they were promoted. They went from 5-figure incomes to 6-figure incomes in state government. There's something wrong and there's something rotten on Beacon Hill. And that's why I'm running for this now open seat, so that we can take care of and clean up the public corruption in Massachusetts. And when I become your next Attorney General, business will be booming. I promise you that. All right, so let's talk about some of the problems that Massachusetts is facing right now. By the way, does anybody know that we still have an opiate crisis here in Massachusetts? That 4 years ago, it was 2,000 people dying a year. Now it's up to about 3,000. And here's the attitude on Beacon Hill about that. Well, you know, it's only going up 10% a year. Why is that a big deal? Going up. They make it sound like there's only a couple of more people each year dying. In other words, it's like the 2,000 that died last year are the same 2,000 this year. Well, that's not it. There's new people who are dying, and we're doing literally nothing about it. I've seen some statistics that say that the current rehabilitations, the government-run opiate rehabilitation programs, are a 99% failure on your dime. We got to do something about that. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. When I become your Attorney General, there's a whole bunch of things I'm going to be looking into. One of them is failed rehabilitation. We're going to investigate, and if those programs knew, and of course they did because they keep records, that they were a failure, I'm going to cause them to disgorge. That means give back all the taxpayer money that's been paid to them, because they knew that they were a failed program and that they still took money from the taxpayers. And then I will watch every other program. The successful ones will promote, the failed ones we will sue and bankrupt. We got some other issues here in Massachusetts. Public corruption is neck deep. As you know, the Attorney General's office is statewide. That means that I have campaigned in places as far as Williamstown and North Adams, all the way to the end of Cape Cod, Provincetown, all the way up to Essex, all the way up to, in Essex County, all the way up to Salisbury, and all the way across to Mount Washington in the bottom corner of Berkshire County, and everywhere in between. And every place I go, every city I campaign in, and I campaign in all of them, I have people come up to me and say, do you know what's going on in this city? And I said, I think you're going to tell me. And they do. And they tell me what's going on. They tell me about the local corruption. And one guy was very persistent. And he says to me, he says, do you know that what the mayor's kid is doing here? And he's running this, it's an elaborate scheme. And I said, if you know about it, why don't the police know about it? He goes, they do know about it. And I said, well, why aren't they doing anything about it? He says, because they don't want to. They're being controlled by the mayor, and they don't want to do that. So then I said, well, all right, did you talk to the attorney, to the district attorney? And they said, you get nowhere with the district attorney. They're only interested in arrests. They're not interested in doing any investigations. So I said, well, how about the Attorney General? They go, I did. I reported it to the Attorney General. And I said, now, this, I was surprised that somebody took some action. And then he pulls out of his vest pocket, he pulls out a piece of paper, and he hands it to me. I open it. It's a Xerox piece of paper, and it's got Deere, and then his last name is written in it. And then the bottom is signed. It's a Xerox signature of Maura Healey. And the letter says, we have, thank you for your information. We have thoroughly investigated your complaint, and we have found it is lacking in merit. Nevertheless, we suggest you get a second opinion from your local police chief or district attorney's office. Basically, it's a get lost letter. I have seen hundreds of those since that day. Get lost. We're not interested. You're just a taxpayer. You keep paying your taxpayers. We know what we're doing here. That's the attitude that you get from Beacon Hill, in particular, Maura Healey's Attorney General's office. All right, so what's different this year? Well, the corruption is still the same. The lack of progress in any feasible area, except, as she would tout, civil rights. She says and claims that she's a great civil rights fighter. In fact, she's the one who put men in the ladies' room. That's her claim to fame, civil rights. All right, so this year we've got 3 people on the other side. I don't have a Republican opponent. So I am on the November ballot no matter what. So there's 3 people on the other side. Basically, I'm going to, without giving their names, and I'm not going to take all kinds of time talking about them, here are their 3 top issues. One of them says the first thing that she's going to do, she's going to act on what she believes that the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, every night at the dinner table, are talking about this burning issue, and this is what she's going to promote when she gets elected as Attorney General. She says we need to defund the police. Does anybody ever start thinking of the second step of that? Even if they wanted to do it, and even if they thought it was a good idea, has anyone actually thought it through? I think the answer is no, they haven't. So what does it look like, defunding the police? Are we going to cut their budget? Are we going to cut their overtime? Are we going to take away their civilian staff so that they have to do all the bookkeeping and they got to do the records and do all the dispatching themselves? So what is the net effect of that? Is it something like you call the police and you've got an emergency and you're screaming, help, help, you just called 911 and you get a recording that says your message is important to us, please hang on the line for the next available operator? I mean, that's absurd. But that's what these people are looking at. And the libs are okay with that. So that's what she says she wants to do. There's another one, another candidate running. And that other candidate says she wants, her number one issue that she says that the people of the Commonwealth are talking about constantly, that needs to be addressed. She wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Can you imagine the absurdity of that? First of all, I don't know how a state attorney could even, a state attorney general could even try to do that, but she says that's what she's going to do. So these people make ludicrous promises, and the irony of the whole thing is she claims to be a civil rights attorney, and when she becomes the attorney general, the first thing she wants to do is take away one of your civil rights. It's crazy. But that's it. The third one, the guy who won their convention by, he won it 52 to 48. He ran for lieutenant governor 4 years ago here. He says that he is more progressive than the other two. So that tells you they are leaning way left. And one of the things he wants to do, and I don't even know why this is an issue, but one of the things he wants to do is give free fare on the MBTA. Free fare. Now you all know that's not free. What that means, and my response when somebody asked me that, I said, wait a minute, I've got some friends of mine in Berkshire County who are not in favor of that. And by the way, also Hampshire County, Franklin County, Hampden County, Worcester County, Essex County, and Barnstable County. We don't want to pay Boston fees. It's nuts. And yet this is what they're doing. So they're pandering and hoping that's going to happen. So what am I going to do? Well, unlike some of these prosecutors who tell you if you elect them, all the things that they're not going to do, all the crimes that they're not going to prosecute. And think of just the philosophy behind that. It's kind of crazy. Somebody wants to be a prosecutor, so they run for the office, and they say, vote for me, and I won't do the job. That's how nutty it is. What I plan to do is watch out for your interests, watch out for the interests of the taxpayers. I'm going to address some of the concerns that are up there still. There's some lingering doubts about the police reform bill and the legality of it. I will attack that with the full force of my office. To me, the police, or so-called police reform bill, is one of the worst bills that our legislature has passed. The second worst is giving driver's licenses to illegal aliens. I'm going to go after those two in particular. There's ways around it. I have read them both. I can tell you they're both unconstitutional because they violate federal law. And because they do violate federal law, there is a way to get those overturned in the courts if we can't do it in the legislature by throwing these bumps out and electing some real Republicans for the legislature. I'm hoping that's what you will do in November. Okay, so where does that take us to? I'm going to represent individual peoples whose rights have been violated by government officials and have violated the Constitution of the United States and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You're going to see a different kind of activist Attorney General with J. McMahon. This is what, that's the truth. You're going to see me standing with individual citizens against government officials who are violating the constitutional rights. Listen, folks, the Bill of Rights are not rights granted by the government. They are rights understood to be given to us by our Creator against the government. The Bill of Rights are rights that God has given you. And so my job is to make sure those rights stay intact, and that's what I will do. So I'm asking you, I'm asking for your support in your communities. If you get some influence, you got some people, some groups that you know, some groups like business groups that meet Chamber of Commerce meetings, any kind of groups like that at all, I will be glad to come and tell them how their lives are going to be benefited by getting me elected as Attorney General. I need your help in reaching those people. The other thing I want to say, and then I'll finish with this. I worked hard 4 years ago. I was going against an entrenched liberal elite named Maura Healey. We did some damage. I presented the truth, and everything I told you today is still the truth. She's a terrible Attorney General. She would make an even worse governor. We don't want Maura Healey as our governor. We're glad we're getting rid of her. She will not be the Attorney General from Massachusetts anymore after January. And we don't want any of the progressives that the Democrats are throwing up against us, because they will do worse than what Maura Healey has done. So I need your help. I'm working hard. My wife will tell you, I am out constantly because I want to be deserving of you and your vote and your support. But I want you to know that I'm working hard. It takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of reaching out to people who are less of our mindset, but who will listen. That's why I'm talking about civic groups. If you know of any in your town, your area, be a volunteer staff member of my campaign, at least for that moment. Call them up, get me an invite, go to my table, you can get one of my cards, and just go ahead and send us an email and say, hey, these people want to hear from you. I will go there. I am reaching out to everybody that I can, because I want to get the message out, and I'm working hard for you because I want to be your next Attorney General. Thank you very much, and it's good to be here with you.